We want to welcome you back to All Things Real Estate. Once again, your hosts, Gary Kelly and Brad Avergon.
So, Brad, if we're all going to, what are we going to do when the robots come? That's the question.
You know what? I got to share an interesting story for you. It's a little scary for me. So I have clients from varying backgrounds and such, and I have a client recently whose focus was his employment was programming AI chips. That's what he did for work, and he was recently laid off. He'd been with the company a number of years. Recently laid off, senior level kind of guy, and what he told me was, I said, that's surprising. You're like in a super hot area. And I have no doubt he's going to be great. He's going to get another job immediately if he hasn't already. But what he's told me was they are using AI to program the AI chips. So they're programming themselves. And I said to him, wow. I said, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm an old guy. Maybe I've seen the movie Terminator too many times. But that is a little bit frightening for me. Because I'm just waiting for them to launch. As I tease my friends, I'm waiting for launching Skynet. It's going to be the best thing. It's going to be the defense system. I just worry about guardrails and things like that, and so it's a little scary for me. I think the other thing that's a little scary for me, and it's surprising to me, but again, this is my age showing, the comfort zone that clients have. Certain clients, younger clients, putting their information and their access information to their accounts and being able to read it. Like I hold that stuff guarded. You know what I mean? I like my passcode to my accounts are guarded information, and yet they're open to putting it in, and they trust this third party verification company, and it's probably right. I mean, there's all these security protocols that we use and all this other stuff, but it's just, to me, it's in the cyber world now, right? It's out there. It's going to be an interesting ride for a lot of folks.
Well, you talk about different generations and stuff. We obviously talk to people about got to put together a deposit on a house. And, there's a tool that many real estate agents use now, Deposit Link. There are others like it that allow you to do all that online. Well, we've had occasions, my particular company doesn't use Deposit Link. They don't want to hold the funds. They want the funds to go to an attorney. Well, how do you do that? The attorney doesn't have Deposit Link. So you write a check. And then you get the blank stare and someone says to you, "What's a check?" Ben said, Ben's son is getting a mortgage with Brad. And Ben said, "Mom, I don't have a check. I don't. How do I do that?" And it's not, he's a bright kid. Yeah. It's not that he's not adept at this stuff, but the idea of, strapping himself to a dinosaur and saying, "Let's go." It's foreign to him.
It absolutely is, Gary. Even with my own daughter, I drew a picture of a check and said, "This is how you fill out a check." She hadn't filled out a check since she could remember. And I said, "This is how you fill out a check. This is how you log in your log." So things that we use regularly still. I still write checks, although I pay most of my bills electronically. But there are occasions where I write a check to a contractor or whatever. Now, some people use Venmo. They pay their contractor with Venmo. I Venmo the money here. I Venmo the money there. I'm in that in between phase, I guess, there. But I will tell you that the number of times I have to ask clients for things like pay stubs or bank statements, they don't see them. They look at us. The way they check their account is they go on their phone and they see their latest screenshot, how much money I got in, and they can look at their Venmo, but they don't have those type of documents. They're not used to producing them, and it's interesting. The other interesting thing is the change on the closing side of things. So, we used to use, as you said, checks, right? You'd bring a certified check to a closing and for borrower funds, and we would send a package out. Well, then you got wires, bank wires going back in. Now, a hot issue right now is wire fraud. With small legal firms, different things like, or even borrowers' emails, where a bad party, or bad actor, as they call them, is able to intercept that fact that a transaction is going on, and at the last minute will try to redirect a wire of funds. And so I have an attorney that I do business with. He says, certified checks. That's it. We use certified checks. That's all we do. The bank can wire into my IOLTA account, which is a special type of account. But as far as borrowers' funds, certified checks. That's it. And so it's just interesting how some of the security protocols going back and forth with are changing. They have to tighten them up, because when you're dealing with electronic information, it's very easy to redirect it. And so it's just kind of an interesting thing as we're kind of moving into that, as you said, leading the parade. If you need to move to it because you have to, but it's there's a lot of change.
Well, it's going to be a lot of change, and if you believe the stats, it's going to be very quick. 3 years, we're going to have 83 million people lose their jobs. Okay, what are they going to do? They're going to do something. Now, there are opportunities for work in AI. As you point out, some AI is writing the AI now. But writing AI prompts, as I understand it, is going to be an up and coming business, which I guess you need to be prompted once in a while.
What are AI prompts? I don't really know.
What are the commands that make the AI do something? So I don't know. I really don't. I guess this is one that, I've been in technology most of my career, running large corporate data centers, and I see something and I look at it, and sometimes I'll say, "Oh, this is great. I can see where this is going to fit." And other times I look at it and say, "Well, this is going to suck, but people are going to do it, whatever." AI is something where it goes into the mind blowing category for me, and
Yeah.
I can honestly say in my career I haven't been mind blown on any technology. It's an evolution of one.
Yeah, I equate it to when the internet came out. Like all people said, yeah, there's going to be a worldwide internet, and it's going to be this amazing thing. You're going to be able to connect at lightning speed, and I was like, wow, that's like a mind blowing kind of thing. This is right up there with it, and it's really it's like you said, there's a lot of change coming, and
When
we're
the
just
internet became a big thing, I was at Staples at the time, and there was three of us that put Staples.com on the map. It was a very basic site. We use a third party to do it. We did not host it inside the company because we didn't want to have any exposure, any risk. So we did, here's a store locator, that kind of stuff, basic stuff. I remember the meeting where we showed this to the Staples executive team. Marty Hanica, who went on from Staples to Sports Authority and then on to other things. Marty Hanica was just all excited. How do we get OfficeDepot.com? How do we get OfficeMax.com? Well, okay, that really wasn't what we were talking about. And I remember Tom Stemberg, God rest his soul, who was the founder of Staples and had this ability to sit in a meeting and you'd swear to God he was sound asleep, and he wasn't. He just had his eyes closed. And I remember him in that eyes closed fashion saying, only geeks and wonks will ever use the internet. It's not going to matter until my wife buys a dress on the internet. Well, imagine his wife, one of them, has gone on to buy dresses on the internet and stuff. But that was the reaction back in the day. And, they didn't make us take it down, which kind of surprised me. But, they went on and actually formed the whole business around Staples.com.
Yeah, it's going to be everything that we know as, and again, you've been doing this a long time. I've been doing this a long time. I definitely see it changing. I mean, if you think about, for example, the idea of closings, right? when you have to execute closing documents, right now we happen to be in what's called an attorney state, right? This is attorneys have to conduct closings here. Well, when COVID hit, we went to virtual closings, right? So now we had legal packages that came over. We could send them to the bar. And the attorney could close loans virtually. Basically, they could be online with them. Well, think about an AI that's reading closing documents and now interpreting them for a client, right? At some point, I think that's a real possibility. It'll say, this is what this document is. You need to execute here and here and here. Do you have any questions? I see that happening. I mean, I again, I told
And you know something? It should happen. I've sat in on enough closings where they go through the same thing every time. One of the attorneys that we use, David Jaime, there are certain points where he has jokes, and it's predictable. You know, they want everything signed twice. So David has them run through once. His line is, "Was that fun? It was? Then let's do it again." And that's how he gets the second signature on everything. He's able to pull that joke off better than I am, but it's the same. I don't know how he keeps it interesting for himself, but it's the same thing all the time. So I think that, you know, knowledge workers, it's going to take on a different thing. Now, it's my understanding hospitals, they're not going to change dramatically. They may have different tests. You know, people that are doing, I'm going to say, you know, hands-on work. You know, if you want to have your yard landscape, the landscaper's still going to come out and run a mower. And we're not to the point yet of the mower just arriving and mowing the lawn and neatening up things and then taking off. There are mowers that will follow a path.
I was just going to say, so my neighbor actually has one of those mowers. It looks like a little robot that drives around. And it cuts. It goes back to its charging. Think of like the RoboVac that you might have in your house and something like that. Same kind of concept. But it goes often. So rather than have the landscaper come and mow your lawn once a week, it may go off 2 or 3 times in a week, and it mulches. It doesn't dump it or anything like that. It just takes the top off, but it's constantly on. So those robo mowers are out there already.
You got a plumbing problem. You don't have a robo plumber yet.
Good point. Good point.
Anyway, so Brad, on this happy note.
Yes.
We've just gone by Memorial Day. Labor Day may mean something different for us this year. How do people reach you?
The best way to reach me, Gary, is on my cell phone, which is 978-375-5531. Or you can email me at brad@bradavergon.com. And Gary, how do they reach you?
I can be reached at gary.kelly. Well, it's Gary at movewithgary.com is the easiest. And then 508-733-6005.
I just want to close our show with one thought. AI has not learned how to provide advice. As to say, how do you advise someone or how to read an emotion in somebody? And I think that's a very, very important thing that I think that is going to keep guys like you and I and other people that are in their industries that need advice, that for big decisions like real estate or finance or anything like that, it's going to keep us in business for a while.
Well, I agree with that. That was actually one of James Becker's comments, is that, you know, all the AI stuff in the world doesn't have a sense of humor, doesn't know how to interact with humor. And so as people, we need to maintain those connections. And that's really important. And that's going to be a challenge for AI to maintain a genuine connection like that. Transactional, sure, but not a connection.
Agreed.
All right, Brad.
Be well, my friend.
Keep smiling. Stop coughing. You did well today.
You as well. Thanks, Gary. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you for watching All Things Real Estate. If you do have any questions, feel free to reach out to Brad or Gary.